Hi guys, and welcome to the Lowland League Catchup. It's myself, RampantFM, and today I'm joined by Mozza. How are you doing, mate?
I'm good.
I was missing last week, Mozza. Sorry about that. Obviously, I had Mother's Day duties, not my mother, but I had to go with the missus to meet our parents and stuff for the first time.
Needs to be done.
Yeah, definitely. We'll get into the two midweek games. So we'll start with them. It was Gretna 2008, 4, Vale Leithen 1. It was a Kev Connelly masterclass. He bagged the brace in the opening 10 minutes to put Gretna 2-0 up. Mark Berry got Vale back in the game 5 minutes after half time, but Kev got his hat-trick in the 53rd minute and sealed the win for Gretna with his fourth on 88 minutes. Kev back to his best. Daniel Smales was on the bench. Obviously, he's been kind of doing well for Gretna also, and Jake Smith, but obviously pretty much the goal man. He's not had as many this season as he did last season, but certainly making a good showing against Vale Leithen on Tuesday.
Yeah, it's good to see Kev back in the goal trail, isn't it? He's had a wee bit of an up and down season in terms of scoring, but you can't really complain after a game like that. It's been a long time coming by the sounds of it, but no, fair play to Gretna, because this is one of the games that myself and Sean last week we were a wee bit doubtful of. We didn't really know which way it was going to run, and well, it's been a pretty routine win in the end for them. Yeah, Vale will be slightly upset, I guess, with the manner of the result, and from what I've read, they might not deserve the 3 goals in between the two teams, but one of these things, Gretna did the business on the day, and fair play, deserved all 3 points.
Absolutely, mate. We'll move on to Wednesday's game. It was Dalbeattie Star 2, Spartans 2. 9 minutes in, Jason Stevens races into the box. Parker comes out to narrow the angle, but the striker slides the ball into the empty net to make it 1-0 Spartans. 21 minutes, it was all square. A corner comes into the Spartans box. It's punched clear to the edge of the area. Scott Milligan drills low through a plethora of bodies and scores. I love that word. 35 minutes, no idea what happened, but Ben Irving has given the host the lead, so it was 2-1 Dalbeattie there. I never caught what happened there. I never read the Dalbeattie report, so but Ben Irvin obviously giving them the lead there. 53 minutes, it was an equaliser for Spartans, and Aaron Scott corner is headed home by Cameron Dawson. 2-2. Save, it was a top save by Blair Carswell, who denies Milligan from close range. A crucial stop with 10 to go, but it finished a draw. Very respectable result for Dalbeattie, who would be delighted given the fact that they were drawn with Spartans in the postponed game as well. So a really hard fought point for both teams, I would say.
Absolutely, and we'll get into obviously what happened just yesterday as well, but Star have came through a really tough slate of games and they've done fantastically well to get what they've got out of them. I don't think many people would have expected them to come through these games and not get beaten. So, but far from avoiding defeat and kind of clinging on to a draw, it sounds like they were unfortunate not to beat Spartans.
Yep.
Ultimately, as the Spartans Twitter account said, Carswell pulled off an absolute brilliant save from Milligan in the kind of dying 10 minutes or so. But you've got to give credit to Dalbeattie when the chips have been down, end of the season, welfare, kind of fighting for their lives and trying to catch up with them. Star have hit the gas pedal and have gone and done what they had to do to basically avoid bottom spot, all things considered, and potentially maybe even get off a 14th. So yeah, great run of results for them.
Yeah, brilliant, mate. And we'll just move on straight to Saturday's game, Dalbeattie Star 2, BSC Glasgow 1. Another fantastic result for Dalbeattie. A few changes for BSC. Ben Quigley replaced Carlo Pignatiello in a different position. Meanwhile, there was debutants Jordan Marshall, formerly of Cumbernauld Colts, and Thomas Collins were on the bench for BSC. Early chance, gorgeous ball over to the top from Declan Hughes, gets into the path of Tamor, but his strike is well parried by Vinnie Parker's face. That must have been a sore one. 16 minutes, Ben Irvine gets some space on the edge of the box and cracks the BSC bar. Ben Irving and Robbie McNabb get into what could be described as a disagreement in the BSC half. I believe Ross Smith was actually booked in that sort of confrontation, if you will, for descent.
Yep.
31 minutes, Star put it out for a throw, and one of the spectators goes flying backwards over a wheelie bin as he goes to catch the ball.
Just to point out at that point as well, it wasn't any old spectator as well, it was Queen of the South's third choice keeper, I'm led to believe. So made a spectacular save just to let people know that he's still available, you know.
Is the wheelie bin sent off for that, or does anyone know?
You lost the punchline in that.
But 35 minutes, penalty to Star. Liam Park bursts through on goal and flicks the ball on as Ryan Marshall comes out to claim it. The Star number 7 goes over and Lewis Sloan scores the resulting spot kick to put Star 1-0 up. Marshall did go the right way, but he couldn't quite reach it. It was a half-time substitution for BSC, Ben Quigley coming off and Thomas Collins comes on to make his debut for BSC. 2 minutes later, he scores with his first touch for BSC to get the equaliser there. Declan Hughes angled a gorgeous... Everything Declan does is gorgeous, I've noticed.
You might notice that Michael Park quite likes Declan.
Declan Hughes angled a gorgeous 30-yard volley onto Martin Grehan, who headed it down for Collins to tap in at the near post. Description of the goal there. 50 minutes, Ewan O'Reilly has the ball in the back of the net with an amazing accidental lob of Finney Parker, but the ref pulls it back for a free kick. I'm not sure what for. And it was a goal for Star. Scott Milligan turns beautifully as the ball comes into the box. His twisting header beats Ryan Marshall to put Dalbeattie 2-1 up there and give them the lead. 88 minutes, Thomas Collins goes into the referee's book for dissent before Ross Smith is sent off. And that was pretty much the end of the game. Dalbeattie, depending on who you ask, completely deserved the win there by the sounds of things. But it's, as we mentioned, a great run by Dalbeattie. Is there a bit of pressure on a wee bit for BSC? You know, the run finally over 19 matches, incredibly. They went undefeated, but obviously that's came to an end there. So yeah, it was a great review of the game from Martin Grehan, I noticed. And obviously Curtis Wilson disagreed.
Yeah, it was an interesting back and forth, wasn't it? I suspect the two of them have got very different opinions on the way that Dalbeattie play football, shall we say. I'll let you go and find it yourselves on Twitter if you're that way inclined. But that's the other thing I do love about this league. Guys are quite happy to say what they think. I actually retweeted Green at that point saying, well, you've got to love the fact that he just doesn't care what people think about what his opinions are. He's putting his opinion out there. But yeah, all things considered, I think from everything I've kind of picked up on, Dalbeattie did deserve the 3 points, ultimately. I think you mentioned there the run coming to an end for BSC. I don't see any pressure. The league's finished in terms of East Kilbride winning it. Should all things considered, BSC should have top 4 secure now. I know Kelty have officially now confirmed the top 4 spot. BSC only need a wee point or two, and that's them done the same. So I think it's just one of these things where there's arguably more to play for Star at this point in the season, and they've gone out and they've given a brilliant account of themselves. Scott Milligan, I've noticed his name popping up more and more the last couple of weeks. We usually kind of talk about Lewis Sloan being the key man for Star, but Milligan seems to be beginning to make a bit of a name for himself in that team in recent times. Vinnie Parker has always been a reasonable solid keeper as well, and well, he's resorted to now saving balls in his face, never mind his arms as well, according to that match report. But yeah, cracking result for Star. I alluded to it in the previous game we ran through, but they've now gone through Kelty, Spartans and BSC unbeaten. And there's not many teams in this league that can say they've managed to do that this time round.
Yeah.
So they'll be justifiably happy with their work over the last kind of 2-3 weeks. And they'll potentially now be looking to get out of second bottom just to make sure they're absolutely safe from relegation. There is still the outside chance they could go down depending on what happens in the playoffs.
Yep, absolutely. And you've obviously mentioned Scott Milligan there, but obviously I think Ben Irving as well. He obviously came to Dalbeattie and he seems to be doing a job there as well for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I said it on Twitter obviously, but I said this against Kelty when they got the win over there. A lot of people were like, aye, whatever, sort of thing. You're just saying that or whatever, but I think sometimes you can see the momentum shift I think we've seen it with the likes of Shire, we've seen it with the likes of Spartans this season. Dalbeattie are another one, and they've point proven, as I said on Twitter, like they've just went out the last sort of few games and done what they've had to do basically. And obviously Dalbeattie mentioned the fact that they wish it would have been the start of the season, not the end. But fair play to them. Absolutely well deserved. The last few results.
Well, to give you an indication, I was doing some streaming on Saturday, and somebody asked me what I thought about the BSC game, and I actually said at that point I fancied Dalbeattie to do something, to at least get a point, and that's a sea change from where we were even a month ago in this podcast.
Yeah.
You just wouldn't have seen them picking up points against these teams. So you've got to give credit to the guys and the gaffer altogether.
We'll move on to Vale Leithen, who obviously are coming off that bad result against Gretna, but what a way to bounce back. 5-0 over Cumbernauld Colts. Today's starting 11, including the return of Keith McLeod, who I believe is their assistant manager. Their squad's been a wee bit depleted, as a lot of teams are, but I think Vale more so because they don't have under-20s to rely on to come up. Yeah, what a start by this guy. I hope they've signed him up for next season. 30 minutes played. Keith McLeod back in the team and back on the score sheet. 30 minutes, he gets his second and Vale's second. 32 minutes, Sean Stewart makes it 3-0. 38 minutes, Brad Rickson makes it 4. So 4-0 at half time. 60 minutes, Jordan Perry is sent off for the Colts for violent conduct. And just to seal it in the 92nd minute, Donald Henry made it 5. They've leapfrogged a lot of teams up to 10th, and Colts, I think, comfortable in 7th at the moment as well. But their games in hand that they had over a few teams kind of obviously not came to anything as they remained 7th. But what a win for Vale! What a decent reaction from the boys there, and as I mentioned, Keith McLeod showing the boys how it's done, I think.
Well, that's one way to make sure Ando keeps you on, isn't it? For next season. Make yourself inexpendable, not just off the pitch, but on the pitch as well. No, fair play to Keith. Fantastic performance there. And Vale Leithen, generally, they have done this a few times. It wasn't that long ago we were talking about how they were more than capable of getting 3-4 goals a game. And they had a wee dip in form, no doubt linked to the fact that they've had a few injuries here and there. But they've always been capable of sticking the ball in the net.
Yep.
They've not always been capable of keeping clean sheets. So they'll be delighted, not just with, obviously, the 5 goals, but the fact that they didn't let any in at the other end. I'm sure Andy will be absolutely delighted with that. For Colts, it's more of the same. It gets to the end of the season and you just don't know where the consistency is. And it's... I know there's very kind of little in terms of consequences at this point as the season peters out. They're going to be safe mid-table as it is. You can't see them really pushing top 4 or 5. As a Colts fan, if you're out there, you wouldn't want to see your team losing 5-0 at the end of every season. You'd want a bit of pride shown at the very, very minimum, so it's slightly concerning for them, but I think, to be honest, you need to just give the credit to Vale Leithen in this instance. Absolutely,
mate. And on that note, we'll move on to the game I was at, Civil Service versus Kelty Hearts. Just before the game, obviously, Hopkinson and Churchy were on the bench for Civil. I think that's, the more I've seen Civil, I think that's became a thing. They're either on the bench or playing. I think Gary likes to sort of change the squad up with like the likes of Frowdy coming in sometimes, and then he'll take off Churchy. But that was noticed. Two under-20s in the team for Kelty who are a bit bare bones at the moment. Cammy Lumsden started. Quite like Cammy, I've seen him in the under-20s. Gaz Leithen was ill and Murray Carstairs was suspended. So yeah, so luckily they had the boys there to come in. As we mentioned with Vale, they don't have the under-20s to rely on and come in. There wasn't a lot of clear-cut chances in the competitive game. The weather wasn't great. I got soaked walking about in Edinburgh. Civil's formation, it was kind of like, the way I thought is that someone had been watching Spartans. I don't know, but they played a lot like Spartans did against Kelty. like 5 at the back when Kelty was in possession, and then obviously you had the likes of Andy Mayer and Craig Newell's getting forward when Civil won the possession back. It was so similar to the way Spartans played. It was really weird, but yeah, the formation was done well, I think, to begin with anyway. You had Sean Turnbull at the back playing in defence, and then Big Ali in midfield as well. So I think it worked out well, but there wasn't a lot of clear-cut chances in the first half. Stephen Husband was good as a standing captain. Obviously Skip, I think he was on the bench, but he was good with McCurdy. I think it's probably their best game together. But the difference really was Kelty free kick, the 78th minute, straight into the path of Sean O'Neill. It hits off Shaq's shoulder or chest, but it was a strange goal, but it went in obviously. I'm not actually 100% sure, but I think Kyle Fee was the only Civil player. I think he claimed it was a handball. I've watched this in slow motion over and over again to sort of to find out where it hit him, because even at the game I wasn't really sure what happened, but it looked like it hit off his shoulder onto his chest, because it definitely takes a bit of a a knock and then another knock to go in. But yeah, I think this is a game that you can put down to whoever got the first goal probably would have won the match, because the conditions, it was hard to play, with the surface being quite soft. It was hard to get the ball on the ground a lot. It got foggier as the game went on. It was definitely a competitive match between two decent sides, as we know, but it's been up and down for Kelty the last few weeks, but they've moved into second and the guaranteed top 4. And Strollers not out of the fight for top 4 yet. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the next few weeks. Obviously, Kelty have one game left, but Civil are still fighting for that top 4 spot.
Yeah, I think it could be a really, really important result in terms of the way the top 4 shakes out, because Civil, despite the fantastic run they've been on, really needed to get something out of this, I think. Not just for momentum, but also it's just like they always gave themselves a lot to do, and the way Spartans have been playing recently, you'd expect BSC and Kelty to be pretty comfortable top 4 now, so there's one spot I'd say remaining there, and I think Spartans are now the more likely to grab it, but hey, we'll wait and see. There's plenty of football to be played, but it's interesting what you say there about the formations at the kind of mimic to way Spartans played against Kelty. I think we're seeing this all the more now in this league, that the teams at the top end are beginning to learn each other's ways, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So in terms of, like, you'll always see guys scouting each other and so on, that's by the by, but I think we're beginning to get to the stage in this league where it's taking a massive step forward in terms of preparation and like kind of head-to-heads, because in any team in the top half, you very, very rarely see a game between two sides in the top, say, 7, for example, that you get more than a 2-goal gap between them. So not only is the overall quality of the league improving year on year, we're now at the kind of point where, I guess it's not quite analytics, but you're getting to the point that there's all sorts of work getting put into opponents on a weekly basis. So it's not stick your best 11 out and play the formation you play.
Yep.
It's getting a lot more complex, and that's really interesting to see as a kind of neutral observer for most games as well.
Yep, I absolutely agree, mate. I think in terms of tactics, I think Dougie Samuel at Spartans and obviously Gary Jordan at Civil are known for that sort of side of the game.
Yep.
But yeah, I think they were unlucky. I think, as I mentioned, I think the game could have went either way. Towards the end of the game, I counted around 13 minutes added time. Have no idea what the ref was doing there. But yeah, it went on for quite a while after. I think I got out the ground about 5-5 or something like that. So yeah, 13 minutes added time, or I don't know what was going on. But just a well done to Scott Christie, the Kelty goalkeeper. Inchy now holds the record for the most clean sheets in a season since Kelty's days in the old Fife Junior League over 20 years ago. 34 appearances, 18 clean sheets, beating last season's total of 17 in the East of Scotland League. Yeah, Scott Christie's came into this league, he's done brilliant. I think there's a few good keepers in the league, as you know yourself, Mozza. But yeah, he's done really well just coming up from east of Scotland.
Absolutely, I've always been impressed with him when I've seen him.
Yeah.
And the stats speak for themselves there, don't they? You don't get that many clean sheets by luck, so well done to him. Absolutely.
Moving on to our next game, Whitehill Welfare 1, Gala-Ferradine Rovers 1. Phil Addison on the 30th minute, and the 76th minute, Mikey Hamilton scores for Whitehill Welfare to make it 1-1. Just a side note on this, we're obviously wishing Gala-Ferradine player Ryan Stevenson a speedy recovery after picking up an injury.
Yep.
Not really much to say about this. It's kind of end of season fare, isn't it, Derek?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, what we should be saying is well done to Whitehill Welfare, because from what we've picked up from the game itself, it sounds like they were very unfortunate not to take 3 points here, and it would have been very easy for them to think that's us finished for the year and just mail it in, but they've clearly not. They've fought away, they managed to get a point, they could have had more, and I'm sure if you ask anyone from the Ferradine Rover side of things, they'll tell you they've been in a game there, you know.
Yeah.
So it's good to see, and obviously now they will be looking to that East of Scotland Premier League next season. But this is a good way to prepare for it, as long as they can keep the guys they want to keep, work towards something to get the ground hit very, very quickly next season, because they'll need to with the talent in that league there. Yeah, that's kind of what they need to do from now till the end of the campaign. For Gala side of things, they're similar to Cumbernauld Colts now. They're in that kind of catch-22 situation where there might not necessarily be anything to play for, but you still expect them to keep put some pride into their performances and keep going to the very end and then into the cup.
Yep. And just a side note on this one, I did actually watch Whitehill under-20s on Friday against Hillabeath, who they won 1-0. Yeah, it was a good win from the boys, but we're seeing a lot of, obviously, the under-20s moving up to the first team this season. We saw a lot of the under-17s move up to the under-20s. So Whitehill definitely doing a lot to sort of promote their young footballers there. It was a good win over Hillabeath. I think people might have saw that. Obviously, we bit of a disagreement between me and Graham Kay. But nice, we had a chat about it. I think it was just, you know, it's hard to tell tone through Twitter or whatever, and obviously the fact that you only have so much, you know, to tweet, you know. But no, it was a good win for the guys, and a really good team, and Hillabeath as well, obviously a really decent, good young side in that Conference A in the Development League. Mm-hmm. So we'll get into the South Challenge Cup semi-finals. There was 2 Lowland League teams and 2 East of Scotland teams. We'll start with Bonnyrigg Rose, University of Stirling. There was a few boys missing for Bonnyrigg Rose, but you know, I think they're still a quality side. Seen them obviously recently against Dunny Pace. Probably expected to come up to the Lowland League next season, depending on what happens, obviously licensing and stuff. But half time it was 0-0, pretty uneventful so far. You know, it played in horrible conditions from what I've heard, so it was still all to play for in the second half. 84th minute. So yeah, I think it was probably uneventful until the last 5 minutes of the game. Crossbar, not sure how the ball stays out but the ball ricocheted off the uni bar, still 0-0. And post long range strike from Turner, skids along the ground from 25 yards and crashes off the post with the keeper stranded. And Bonnyrigg did have a player sent off, Hoskins, shown a second yellow after what they described as looked like a foul on him in the 87th minute. Did go to extra time, then eventually penalties with Bonnyrigg winning 4-2 on penalties. Barely disappointing, a bit of a sickener for the uni boys to lose out on penalties. A game that I think, going into it, I think Bonnyrigg would have probably been favourites in all fairness, so they've done well there. It's just a wee bit sad that they've lost out on penalties. I think that's the worst one for any footballer. Yeah,
I think, to be fair to Chris Geddes, I believe we're going to hear his thoughts just now, but I think he's pretty magnanimous when he's talking about it. He's quite happy to say how he felt the game actually went. So without further ado, let's go to hear what he thought about the game.
Chris, that's a very harsh way to lose a semi-final, penalties.
Yeah, but the way our penalties have went this season, it was always, there's a big chance of that happening, but I thought we played excellent against one of the best teams in non-league football, so there's a lot of positives to take.
One of the Bonnyrigg supporters said to me at the end there that was the toughest game they've had here this season, and it certainly went toe to toe with them.
Yeah, I'd probably imagine so. One of the good things from us is they changed their formation after about 20 minutes and went 3 up front and stuff, because what they were doing wasn't working against what we were doing. So we take a lot of pride in that, but I think, as you know, Dave, the story of our season has been we just haven't been putting the ball in the goal, in the net. Our defence was excellent today. The back 3 and then the 2 wing backs and then Lewis and that in the midfield, they were excellent. Just like the Bonnyrigg guys were, it was a really good game for the neutrals, but yeah, I think, like I say, the story of our season, we've just not been putting, and that's what's getting us in trouble, because I think everyone will see coming here and taking Bonnyrigg to penalties, we're a far better team than our league position shows. But again, if you don't put the ball in the net, you're not going to win games, and ultimately that cost us today. And
there were chances there, weren't there?
Yep, we had chances. Aidan had a header, Blair had a header in extra time, we had chances in 90 minutes. They had a couple, they hit the bar, so there was chances on both sides. I don't think anyone deserved to lose, but again, it's when it goes to penalties, it's anyone can win, and you kind of just accept whatever happens.
And of course, Bonnyrigg went down to 10 men, but you didn't seem to be able to take advantage of that.
Well, yeah, because when you play 10 men against a top team, it's tough because they're in good shape. I think if you notice, we kept the ball a bit better in the second half extra time, which helped us instead of going forward really quick and trying to break, because they're very good players, do you know what I mean? And they're in the position they are for a reason. So I think once we adjusted, we had the headers and stuff, but yeah, it's disappointing, but ultimately it's a lottery when it's penalties.
Chris, thanks very much.
No problem.
And that's obviously thoughts to Stirling Uni gaffer Chris Gerris. We want to thank David Chandler as always, and Chris for providing that interview. We'll move on to the second semi-final. Hillabeef 2, East Kilbride 3. 12 minutes in, penalty to Kilby. Cammy Russell drives into the box and is pulled down. Sean Winter steps up and slots home. Do you know if he done a floss?
I believe it's unconfirmed, but he still owes us one from what I've been told.
We need to keep going at it. We'll get this at like when they're League 2 probably next season. I'll be hunting them down there. But a minute later, great ball by Kilby, great play between Cammy Russell and Jamie Longworth. Sees the ball through to Paul Woods, who calmly dinks the Hawes keeper. 23 minutes, Jamie Longworth turns in the centre circle, who turns and plays an excellent ball to Paul Woods, who runs through and rounds the keeper for his brace, and East Kilbride's third. It looked like it was going to be a bit of a landslide there, in all truth, but Hillabeef did get back into it. 65th minute, Joe Kirby makes it 3-1, and 84 minutes, Lewis Elder for Hillabeef made it 3-2, and from what I heard, they did have another chance to make it 3-all, but it wasn't really to be. But a good showing against East Kilbride.
Yeah.
You know, Cammy Russell, who scored a hat-trick against Kelty last week, is just a phenomenal player. I know he's on loan from Airdrie, but a really class side, East Kilbride, and a really good showing from Hillabeef, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. I think, firstly, credit to Hillabeef for making a comeback there, because it could have easily gone south when you're 3-0 down in 23 minutes. It's not a good place to be. But basically, Kelty have done what they've done all season. Early doors, they've just been clinical. Given 3 clear-cut chances to get a goal, and they've taken every single one of them. And that's kind of almost killed off the tie before it even began. It sounds like after that they might have eased down slightly, which is understandable where they are. Hillabeef have got right back in it by making a few chances and taking their own, and ultimately it was a good game between two sides. There's not that much between, from what the reports have been saying, although Kilby I think did deserve to shade it and go through ultimately to now face Bonnyrigg in what looks like an absolute cracking final. Really looking forward to that one.
Yep, absolutely, and the venue of the South Challenge Cup final featuring Bonnyrigg and East Kilbride has been confirmed as Megatland, home of Tynecastle FC on May the 26th. We'll keep you updated, obviously, on that. I've never been to that ground, but the stand looks phenomenal. I don't know if you've been yourself, Mozza.
I've only been once, and it was actually for rugby rather than football. But it's a cracking stand. It's a great facility. Tynecastle have done brilliant to get it. And I think there's an outside chance that the two of us might actually head along to that game towards the end of May. So we'll see what happens. But no doubt, if we are, we'll let you know in the pod, and no doubt bump into a couple of faces as well.
Yep, and just a word from the Hill of Beef gaffer. He did tweet out, on reflection, I probably set the team up too defensive and invited pressure, and we'll take it on the chin. Credit to the players for battling back and almost taking the game to extra time. Yeah, it's one of those ones where I think two good East of Scotland teams showing us that they're, there's we might end up with two East of Scotland teams coming up to the Lowland League depending on what happens, but I think they're more than going to be capable than in the Lowland League, whatever happens.
Yeah, definitely. We should also point out at this stage as well, because I don't think we've addressed it on the podcast thus far, that normally the rule in place says that teams need to have their licence by the 31st of March of any season to get promoted, but that isn't going to necessarily apply this time round. There has been an extension agreed, from what we're led to understand, so it's not a done deal, but we'll wait and see what happens in the club licensing front for all these teams in East of Scotland who are currently awaiting word from the SFA, because ultimately they want to step up to the Lowland if they get there in merit. So I know a lot of people have been throwing the rule around. It might not be the case this year because they have taken a step back and they're just treating it with common sense, which is really good to see from all parties concerned.
Some sort of an announcement had to be made on because we're like everyone else, Moz. I know we're privy to a few things, obviously, with the league and the clubs and stuff, but yeah, we needed some sort of clarification, I think, like everyone else, and it's good that it's been extended until we get word from the SFA, whenever that'll be,
Yeah, I should point out, when I've said well done to all parties concerned, I'm still holding some ire for the SFA that still haven't said a word. So to be perfectly clear in that, it's beyond a joke now, they need to come out and say something.
Absolutely. So there was a game in the SCFA Challenge Cup third round. It was Upper Annandale versus Edusport Academy. Unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of updates. All I know was that half-time was 1-1. Edusport's camera guy had a bit of a nightmare. Basically stated, my tripod has just taken an absolute beating from the ball and snapped.
Handheld camera the rest of the game then.
Yep. Matty Flynn gave Edusport the lead and Mark Kelly scored the winner there. As I said, guys, unfortunately we don't have a lot of information on the game, but Edusport doing well in this sort of South Cup competition, really.
Aye, the counties, Southern Counties, isn't it? So,
yep.
Had the tie, they managed to get through with a professional job. Ultimately, it's a chance to win a tournament for them, and they'll give it everything because that's their, other than the Lowland League Cup coming up, that'll be their only other chance of silverware this time round.
So we'll get into next week's fixtures. We'll start with Tuesday's game, University of Stirling versus Spartans at Forth Bank. Should be an interesting one. I think University of Stirling, obviously coming off the disappointment from the Cup, they'll want to come out, play with a bit of pride. Spartans obviously still in the hunt for top four, but I don't think it's going to be an easy game for Spartans. I think University of Stirling will show a reaction after that disappointing game at the weekend against Bonnyrigg.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'll be a decent game of football because it's two teams that like to play decent football as well, so it'll be a good one for any neutrals to go along if they're stuck for something on a Tuesday night.
Wednesday's game, Vale of Leithen versus BSC Glasgow. Vale of Leithen coming off that fantastic result against Cumbernauld. BSC obviously coming off their first defeat in 19 games. It's at Penny Pit, this one. Just a note about this, obviously, because Vale of Leithen, Victoria Park, doesn't have floodlights. When I spoke about BSC under a wee bit of pressure, obviously, I think top four, it's their top four is pretty much safe, and in my estimation. But is there a worry that they might slip up for second, especially now that Vale seem to have came out and really had a fantastic result against the Colts? Another sort of travel for BSC to go down to Vale.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about motivation or anything like that, to be honest, because knowing what they're like, you wouldn't want to be a player in that dressing room if you've let down Stevie Swift and Michael Moore, would you? So I suspect that the guys will be fully focused and ready to bounce back. There's a lot of pride in that BSC squad as well. So the 19 games unbeaten, there's been a lot made of it because it's been a fantastic run.
Yep.
But they'll not want to get 2 games in a row kind of thrown away to spoil it as such. So I'd expect all guns blazing come midweek to try and get back in the swing of things. Vale Leithen though, coming off a 5-0 win, there's not many better ways to get yourself set up for a midweek game. So it'll be an interesting one to see how it plays out.
Moving into Saturday's fixtures, Cumbernauld Colts, obviously we just described, got beat off 5-0 off Vale Leithen. They're at home against Civil Service Strollers, who obviously are coming off a defeat against Kelty. I think Civil have to go out and really try and get a result, but Colts, again, it'll be another game that they'll probably expect a reaction, but certainly Strollers have more to play for, I think, in this one. A tough one to call, really.
I think I'd very, very kind of softly side with Strollers, just because overall what they've done this season. I know they've just came off the defeat there. They don't tend to do too badly off of the defeat, so the few defeats I've had, they've bounced back most of the time in their next game. So I'll take them not with 100% confidence because they are away from home, but I think they'll be disappointed if they go to Cumbernauld and don't come back with something.
East Kilbride, the champions, versus BSC Glasgow. I think this would have been mouth-watering, a tie if obviously East Kilbride were still looking to clinch it, but now that they've clinched it, we spoke to Malky after the game against Spartans when they won the league. He was expecting a bit of a dip, but it's not came yet. But BSC still have stuff to play for, so this could be another interesting one to keep an eye out for.
Definitely. It's, it looks like a really good game on paper, doesn't it? Even if Kilby are beginning to play a few of the other guys and get the fitness levels back up, BSC, I suspect, will be the same. There'll be 1 or 2 guys getting a game that might not have played all that much recently, to get an eye on them and see if they're going to get kept on, ultimately, amongst other things. But it's 2 teams that will be going for the win. They'll not be sitting back. That's not Swifty style or Malky style, so it looks like a decent game, absolutely.
Yep. East Stirlingshire versus Spartans at the Falkirk Stadium. I've been to a few games there and a lot of high scoring affairs. I think I'm expecting something a wee bit different. I'm expecting maybe a closer game, if you will. Maybe a 1-1 or a 2-2 or something like that. I'm not expecting 7 goals, but two decent sides. Obviously Spartans still in the hunt for top 4. It should be a really decent game, I think.
Yeah, it's another one of a really good slate of fixtures this weekend coming. You could see either team getting that. Shire have been a different side over the past few months than the team that started the season. Spartans have just been fantastic recently. So anyone could take that again. It's a really tough group of fixtures to make any confident predictions on this time.
Yep. Gallifreydine Rovers versus Dalbeattie Star. A very interesting one. I think Dalbeattie Star will want to keep the momentum going, but the Netherdale's never an easy place to go for any team. But another one that's quite interesting. I think you're probably going to have a bit more than end of season fare there. I think both teams will want to go out with a wee bit of pride, I think.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people say that Dalbeattie's good results recently have been at home, Aylcroft, but they haven't actually been that great at home up till recently. So they've been doing better and getting more points on the road overall up until the last wee bit. I think they'll fancy their chances of going there and getting the 3 points, the way things are going. And by the same token, Gallo will be going back home and looking to get their own 3 points and continue pushing. So if you're in the area for that one, again, it should be a cracker.
Yep. University of Stirling versus Gretna. Again, another game at the Forth Bank Stadium. I think, I don't know, it's hard to call. Gretna, if Kev Connelly's on fire, I think Gretna will fancy their chances. But again, University of Stirling, they've not had the greatest seasons in the league. A lot of games, drawn. I think we've mentioned it before, but we've got to give a wee shout out to Chris Geddes, and they've done a fantastic job. Obviously, Blair Lyons got a move. Some of the boys there are fantastic footballers, and I think Chris I think his priority is obviously the development of these guys, and it just shows how decent a job he's done with the likes of Blair Lyons, who I've seen a few times. I'm kind of gutted he's not going to be in the Lowland League next season, but fair play to him. The development of the players there and the boys have done fantastic. It's just maybe been a bit disappointing season in terms of the league, but they've certainly done brilliant in the likes of the cup competitions.
Yeah, it's a difficult one because you've got to, for both teams, you've kind of just got to consider where they are in the squads have got. I don't think either's had particularly disappointing campaigns. Like when they get to the end of the season and they look back, I think they'll both think they've done reasonably well overall. But in terms of the game itself, I can't call this one as well. It's really, really difficult this week. Gretna, I've got a great deal of momentum, but away from home they're a slightly different proposition. And Stirling Uni tend to draw more games than they win or lose, don't they? So
yep.
I guess sitting on the fence if I was really forced to make a decision here and expecting a share of the spoils, but who knows?
Vale Leaven versus Edinburgh University. I think it's along the same line. They're back at Victoria Park for this one, but it's along the same lines. Really hard to tell come end of the season. We don't really know. I think it's a lot of these games are it's like who's up for it on the day, I think.
Yeah. It kind of gets to that point at this time of the year as well, doesn't it? When there's not necessarily anything other than bragging rights on for the winners and the losers, but I guess if I was forced to go for that one and make a decision, I'd side on Vale Leithen just purely from recent results and recent form.
Yep, and our final fixture, Whitehill Welfare at home at Ferguson Park against Edusport Academy. Good result against Gala, as we mentioned. I think it was well deserved, the draw, but it's another tough one, Mozza. It's hard to some of the games towards the end of the season are really hard to call. It depends on especially the last sort of few fixtures. There's not really form's been kind of in and out on a lot of the teams, so it depends on who turns up on the day.
Well, the old phrase is the end of the season's a bookmaker's friend, isn't it? Because the kind of games can go anyway. But I certainly wouldn't want to be a betting man this weekend, put it that way, if you're forcing me to.
So we'll get into plugs, mate. We'll let yourself go first, as always.
As always, at Mozzaplays on Twitter, and you will find me anywhere and everywhere from there, basically. And I'll throw it back to yourself.
At RampantFM on Twitter, and you can find the official Catchup on Facebook at Lowland League Catchup, and on Twitter it is at official Catchup. Yeah, another week, a week done, mate. Glad to be back on the podcast. We obviously want to thank everyone for the support, everyone that listens in, the clubs, the fans, the players and the managers who get involved. Obviously George Fraser and the league for their support.
Yep.
And hopefully there wasn't too much confusion when we changed the Highland League Catch-Up on April Fools. We did get a few unfollows, I noticed, but I think we're back up to where we were. So. Obviously, we're not moving over to the Highland League Catch-Up. I think it would be a bit of a nightmare for weather and getting to know everyone. And I think why I put Mitch Megison in the picture was because he's probably one of the only players I know from the Highland Leagues. Showing my ignorance a wee bit there, but
since how you're skirting around the issue, I'll just say it. We've got the better league anyway.
Well, we'll just end on that. Just end on that. We've got the better league. Back to you, Highland Cat. No, in all honesty, Moz, I think we would love to see. I think there are certain people in the Highland League that are trying to sort of do their best to promote the league and stuff. But we do. I think we would want sort of a equivalent of something we do with the Lowland League. But for at the moment, I think there's been people that have tried to do it, but it's maybe not worked out for the best. But no, we wish them well. Obviously, we hope East Kilbride beat probably Cove Rangers in the playoff, and obviously the League 2 team as well. So, yeah, we're definitely Kilby fans come the end of the playoff.
Yep, definitely no glory hunters, just Kilby fans supporting them going on.
So, yeah, until next week, guys, myself and Derek will see you soon.
See you later.